Welcome back to Armstrong Avenue with Big Mike and Scott Armstrong. This is episode 14, and I'm coming at you from my mobile podcast studio here in my Airbnb. What's up, Scott?
What's going on, Big Mike? Hey, man, I know I say it all the time, and I know all the listeners get bored with it, man. To hear my dad from that interview from 1982, man, I can't tell you. It always fires me up for this. It really does. I really appreciate it, man. I think of him all the time, but to hear his voice and have him introduce this podcast, he did it in '82, and here it is in 2022. Man, it blows my mind. I really appreciate hearing it very much. Yeah. Anyway, hey, we're off and running. What number is this? 14?
14.
Episode 14, man, brought to you by the Independent Wrestling Network and Bones Coffee, Collar and Elbow. I'll tell you what, man, I appreciate within 14 episodes having the two sponsors. That means a lot. It really does. Yeah. Love that coffee too, man.
Yeah, the coffee's phenomenal, and Collar and Elbow, the people over there are great. Anytime I have questions or people ask me about stuff, they're always super quick to answer me, respond, give me any details. They retweet everything.
Yeah, they're great. They're good people. They are. I know. I just ran into a couple of them when I was doing I did that weekend with Impact, and so very, very cool. And every morning when I get up, I enjoy a little Bones coffee. So we're very fortunate to have two really awesome sponsors.
Yeah, man. And Bones is always coming out with like crazy flavors. Like they're doing new flavors. I'm excited to see what the next one is, but I always go back to Electric Unicorn. I talk about it all the time because it is so good. It is absolutely insane how much it just, man. I've drank so much coffee in my life. Crappy gas station coffee at 2 a.m.
We've all done that, brother.
Look, I cheated on Bones last night. I had a couple Waffle House at midnight.
That's okay. Yeah. Waffle House at midnight's a good place to be.
Hey, right next to the Airbnb. We got in super late, but hey,
it was it, dude. I love it. Yes, you listen. You're showing it. We're both showing our colors. Waffle House at midnight. In the South. I love it.
Hey man, if you can't go a block without finding a Waffle House in the state of Georgia,
yeah, that's a good problem to have, dude.
Yeah, I can tell you there's one town, and it's a town I was a fireman in for 3 years. We don't have a Waffle House.
What?
The whole county doesn't have a Waffle House where I was at.
What town was that?
That was Meriwether County. So
in Georgia?
In Georgia, man. It's crazy.
Man, they're going to have to either do one of two things. Get that Waffle House put in there, or take that, rezone the entire state and take that county completely out.
Just push them right over to Alabama.
Yes.
It's in Georgia. It should be a requirement. Every town or county should have a Waffle House.
I agree.
Or a Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, I'm with you on that too.
Hey,
definitely with you on that.
Excuse me on that. But yeah, man. Look, I love Waffle House. Last night was fun. But we've got to get down to the root of this Florida weather.
A little bit warm for you?
It's humid. I'm used to Georgia humidity, but dude.
Yeah, no, I'm a firm believer. Look, I live here, and I've lived here since I was 19 years old, and I'm a little older than that now. But by the time the middle of May hits, you better have like a hand towel in your car or something, because just getting out to pump gas, you will break a sweat. And
oh man,
look, there's people that say, "Oh my God, I can't take that," and I get it. But take me to New York in the middle of January, I can't take that. Yeah. So I'm good with sweating. I can sweat, but freezing is not for me. Like Kurt Henning, Joe, his son Joe Henning, the Henning family, they're all from Minneapolis. And look, to have 2 feet of snow is no big deal to them. They love it. They got the clothes for it. They don't mind the cold. And he would come down here and say, "Oh my God, Joe or Curtis Axel was his gimmick name," and he would come down and say, "Oh my God, it's so hot." And then in the wintertime, we'd be doing a show with WWE up in Minneapolis. And I'd say, oh my God, it's so cold. So it was the northern boy and the southern boy. And we just complaining to each other and nobody really caring. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's rained. Like, how do you enjoy it when it's raining?
Yeah, well, hey, look, where you're at, I'm in Northwest Florida, up near Alabama. You're in the center of Central Florida, and so the way Florida goes right down and splits the two oceans, the storms will just roll right past over the middle of Florida, and that's where you are. You're in Orlando, and so you'll get a storm about 3 o'clock every day, and it'll rain and storm for an hour and a half, and then it's gone usually. Yeah. And when it leaves, it's twice as hot as it was before.
Yes.
Steamy hot.
Yes, dude. We sat out on the back porch area. It's got the little covering with the swimming pool last night, and it was so humid.
Look at you, big dog.
I had to get a shower. Hey, I'm not used to this fanciness, man. I'm not accustomed to all this. This is all new to me. It's all part of the business, I guess. They treat you to a nice
room. Hey, look, talking about that in the business, if you're in it and on the road constantly, if you do not make the best of it, the road will own you. I used to tell everybody, people would say, hey, man, you went to so-and-so, and when I was younger and I was on the road all the time, you went to this town and you saw this. I mean, you guys were there. That was awesome. And I'd go, yeah, but I landed and I went straight to my hotel and I waited until showtime. And then I went to the show and then I got on an airplane the next morning and flew out. And then as I got older, I realized I have become a prisoner of my hotel room. Yep. And it's only up to one person, and that's me, to figure out that when my eyes open, I can sit there and flip channels all day. I can do that. That's definitely an option. Or I can start looking what's in the city. What can I go see? What can I go do? Byron Saxton, who is an announcer, with WWE.
Monday Night Raw commentator.
Yes. And one of the nicest human beings you will ever meet. And I mean that wholeheartedly. And I mean sincerely. A great human being. And he is the king of getting up, finding out if there's a museum or a park or what's famous in that town. And he'll get up and go do it. And he doesn't tell anybody or do it. Usually sometimes he'll tweet about it or he won't say a word. Every day we'd go to the production meeting and I would ask him, hey, dude, where'd you go today? And he was, and our production meeting might be at noon. And he would have already gotten up and gone to see whatever the world's largest ball of twine. You know what I mean? He would go and see whatever that town was famous for. And you go, that's a dude that's living life. You know what I mean? Look, it's easy to wake up and sit on the couch, man. Hey, I do it a lot of days. And then I'm ashamed of myself that I do it. But when you're on the road, it's like you're saying, hey, man, look, you're in that beautiful Airbnb. You could have just sat in there and watched TV, but y'all went outside, sat on the patio around the pool. You enjoyed the moment. And that's awesome, man. That's the way life should be. It is. And I wish I had realized that when I was your age instead of when I was twice your age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's the business, man. It just is.
Yeah, it's taken me places that I didn't think it would take me, going up to Nashville, meeting the people I met during SummerSlam weekend and all that, and doing the things there, and coming down here.
I rode a camel at the foot of the Egyptian pyramids. It's definitely taken me places I didn't think I would ever go. I mean, that's this business, man. That's why it's the best. Man, I love it.
I don't think they make camels big enough for me to ride. Unless they have like a three humper, like a 3-hump camel.
Believe me, those dudes would put you on one. I'm telling you, they had like 8 camels out there, and you got me and what's his name? Stu Bennett. He's the announcer on NXT. He was Bad News Barrett. And Natty and R-Truth and we're all out there riding camels and everybody just laughing at us, and we're thinking, man, if you look to your left, there's our entire wrestling crew and all the boys in there laughing at us. And you look to the right, and there's the pyramids that you actually have seen your entire life in movies and pictures. But you're literally riding a camel in the sand, and there they are. And you just go, what did my dumb ass do to end up being blessed like this, man? And I still don't know. I really don't, but it was a cool moment. But look, there's been 100 cool moments, man. There's you think about, there's a place in downtown Kansas City, and if there's any Kansas City listeners, please jump in on this and leave a comment. The place is called Town Topic Burgers. I think that's it. It's Town Topic. I know that. And so I looked it up, like Byron does. I looked it up, like what's in this town. It was a little tiny diner that was so small. If you were sitting at the booth and people were coming in to order, they could literally reach over your shoulder and take a bite of your hamburger. I mean, that's how small it is. It's been in downtown Kansas City forever. But I remember that, as well as I remember riding the camels with all the crew in Egypt. You know what I mean? There's things like that you do on the road that you just go, man, how blessed am I? You know what I mean? I'll never forget having my very first Chicago deep dish pizza at Giordano's, and CM Punk is the one that said, hey, come eat pizza. It's me and you and Umaga. And there was like 3 or 4 people. And he said, I want you to come and go to this place. Okay. And so after the show, we all went and we're eating pizza, and it's Chicago deep dish. And I mean, I'm a Southern boy, dude. I'd never had that. And it was the most unbelievable pizza. And I take pictures and send them home to my family, because that's the kind of things you want to share with your family, but you want them to take a bite. You don't want them to just look at the pictures, you know what I mean? And about 3 days later, FedEx comes to I think it was FedEx or UPS comes to the door, and they got this big box from Giordano's, and CM Punk, he knew. I told him, I said, this is the coolest thing. I love pizza. My family would, if we ever get to come to Chicago, I want to bring them here and let them eat here. And without even telling me, he had 2 of those pizzas sent to my house from Giordano's. And you just go, man, for the grace of God, go I. I mean, how fortunate to be able to live that, but how fortunate to have somebody in your life that goes, man, this guy really enjoyed it, and I'm from Chicago. I'm going to have 2 of these sent to him and his family so they can enjoy it together. And you just go, wow, man, that's, you know what I mean? That's really cool. And that's just another one of the road, 1,000 million road stories that I have. But that was a cool road story.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Speaking of CM Punk, you had said he sent you the pizza. He's been all over the news. Everybody's talking about what just happened. I think we should probably address that.
Look, is it the elephant in the room? Without a doubt. It is. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's not crazy. It's crazy if you're on the outside looking in. If you're on the inside looking out, not as crazy. I've seen this throughout my 39 years in the locker room as a performer, producer, whatever. You see attitudes, egos, whatever you say. One thing I will say about CM Punk, look, he's always been a friend of mine. I know right now I look at Twitter and people are slamming him and knocking him, and hey man, do you? I can't tell you whether you're right or wrong for feeling how you feel. I can only tell you that guy has always been very cool to me. He's always been very respectful to me and my family. I feel like I personally have returned the favor. That it's not even a favor; it's just friendship, and I feel like I've returned that to him. If I saw him today, I would I'd go have another pizza with him. Always been straight up. What I will say too is he's always been true to himself. He felt kind of like that in WWE. He feels like that now. He said it in WWE. He said it now. There's something about a man or a woman that stays true to their heart. And you can get mad about it because it doesn't fit your mold, but it fits his mold. And that's who he is. So I personally respect that. Whether I agree with it or not, that doesn't really matter. It only matters that he is true to himself, and he is. And look, if you think he's wrong about everything, then that's you. Think he's wrong. It's all good. You know what I mean? Everybody's got an opinion. I wasn't backstage. I have no idea what truly happened. I can tell you this. If I ever got into a scrap backstage and a friend of mine, jumped in and fought literally tooth and nail beside me like Ace Steel did, I would consider that guy a friend for life. I would also say this. The young Armstrong brothers, look, the older we get, the more laid back, and hopefully you get a little older and wiser. And I think about my son actually said to me, we were watching the CM Punk, after the fact, his promo that was after his match, and we're watching it, and he said, "So, Dad, back in the day when you and," they call Road Dogg Brian, they call him Bubba. They said, "Back when you and Bubba and Brad and Steve were all young, if you were backstage and you heard a guy saying all that, what would have happened?" And I started laughing. So I said, "Oh, I can tell you what would have happened. That interview wouldn't have finished." I said, "There's no doubt there would have been a whole Armstrong brotherhood out there, and there would have been police and ambulance, and it wouldn't have been. We were all young and crazy. You know what I mean?" Yeah. So to hear that look, and again, what we're talking about is we both heard the Punk interview. Everything that we say after that is all rumors, because Mike, as you know, you weren't there and I wasn't there. So we can only speculate and talk about the rumors we've heard. And so to hear that Ace Steel came in and punching and biting, and I just go, look, that's the kind of friend I want no matter where I'm at in life. Yeah. A guy that will come to my aid and punch and bite and have my back. I want that kind of friend everywhere I go. I don't care where I'm at. I want that kind of friend. That's the kind of friend I feel like everybody wants a friend like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so if you didn't know who Ace Steel was prior to all this, I feel like now you go, wow, man, I've never heard Ace Steel, but I can tell you right now, when he's a friend, he is a friend. And I actually know him, and he is a friend also. And I've met the Young Bucks. I've met them one time. They were very nice to me. They were very respectful. I can't say anything personally for me about them. You know what I mean? I don't know. I've never met Kenny Omega. I don't know him. I've met Christopher Daniels a couple of times. I heard he was in, but again, it's all hearsay because I was not there. Yeah. So at the end of it all, I only heard Punk's promo, and that's all. That's all I heard. And then I heard the whole Ace Steel thing, and you know what I mean? It's all hearsay after that, after what I heard. But like I said, Punk is true to himself. Yeah. And look, maybe he needs Bones coffee.
hey, man, don't we all need Bones coffee? We all need Bones coffee, and if you're listening,
wait, how was that segue, Mike?
That was good. That was good.
That was horrible.
No, that was good. That was good. That was good.
I love it.
If you need Bones coffee,
yes,
head on over to bonescoffeecompany.com. Search through 50 different flavors.
Yes.
Pick out the one you want. Use code Armstrong at checkout. Get 15% off your order, and let me know what you think.
Code Armstrong, 15% off Bones Coffee. Don't forget it. And it is. Hey, look, I know we plug it and we laugh about it and everything. It really is good coffee. If you try it, you'll hit us up on the comments, and you'll either say, "Hey, I love it," or "I don't." And if you don't, Big Mike will give you all your money back. Okay.
Hold on. I don't know about all that now. You'll have to contact IWN administration. I'll have to
Look,
give Wayne bail.
I know I'm ribbing like that, but I'm not kidding you. My brother Brian, his wife and daughter really do drink Bones coffee, and they've started using our code to get the 15% off. And my daughter has said, "Oh my God!" I let her try it when she was over. She said, "Oh my God, Dad, that is so good." So look, of course they're family, so I'll give you that. As far as the listeners go, I'll give you that. But hey, man, try it for yourself.
Yeah,
I mean, it'll sell itself. Your first sip, it'll sell itself. Yep. I promise you.
Yep. You know what else sold itself?
What's that?
Hangman Page, when he went out in the middle of that ring and went into business for himself.
Look, I don't know I saw it. You don't know what's scripted and what's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can walk out. I know if I go to Walmart and stand in the aisle and some guy walks up to me and says different things, there are days I will go straight to jail. There are days I will just go, bless your heart. You know what I mean? So you don't know where that person's. Sometimes, look, Mike, I fully believe this in my heart. I didn't in my 30s, but I do now. Sometimes people just need to dump their garbage. And most people go, well, I'm not a garbage can. I shouldn't take that. But sometimes it's okay to just let people dump their garbage. And then you take a step back and go, bless their heart, that guy's in a different place. The first time I heard that Hangman Page said something about, oh, well, I don't need to ask some old guy about, whatever the deal was. It was something like, I don't need them to give me advice. You just go, bless your heart, man. You don't get it. Yeah. I mean, look, I can cuss. I can say, well, you young guy, you don't. I can do all that. But in 10 years, will he still be in the wrestling business? That's really the question to me. Because even to this day, I can ask Fit Finley, hey, do you think this works? Or Arn Anderson, hey, do you think this works? Dean Malenko, Mike Rotunda. I can go to older guys that have been around the industry for a long time, and after being in it for 39 years and living it my entire life, I can still go to those guys and learn.
Yeah.
The day that you're in your 20s or 30, whatever he is, and you go, oh, I'm going to ask them. Oh, that's a joke. Look, and I don't know, quote unquote, exactly what he said. For me, it's all hearsay.
Yeah.
But if that really happened, hey man, good luck to you. You know what I mean? I hope you end up where you really are looking to go in your life. I hope you end up there. If it's the head of IBM, listen to me, Apple. If it's the head of Apple, I hope you're the head of Apple, man. If you're, you know what I mean? Whatever your goal is in life, hey man, do it.
Yeah.
But don't shun look, as people get older, you kind of go, yeah, whatever. But you know what nobody does? Nobody goes to the nursing home and finds the guy that really should not be there. Nobody goes to that guy and says, hey, tell me about when you were young. What benefited you most in your life? What did you do? You know what I'm saying? When I think about my father, who he and my mom ended up in assisted living, and I think about the entire 6 decades of wrestling knowledge, and it's sitting in an assisted living facility, and not one person from wrestling that was an up and comer said, hey man, how can I get in touch with your dad? I just want to ask him some, not one. And when you hear that, you go, wow, man, because even to this day, I'd love to sit down with Terry Funk. And even though I've wrestled him, I've refereed him, been around him for decades, I would still love to just sit down and ask him questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to take advantage of the seniors, man, because they know. So when you hear a young person go, yeah, I don't need anybody to tell me. Well, good luck to you. I'm not going to get hot at you. I'm just going to say, well, good luck to you. I hope you get what you want in life. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So I heard Punk dog him real bad on that promo. And look, I don't think Punk did it just because he decided today I'm going to dog him. I think he did it because in his heart there was a reason. And so
I think things have been building up, and he's been holding a lot of this stuff in. And finally, he said, "You know what? Screw it."
yeah,
He just went into it and said what he wanted to say, bar
look,
the consequences.
amen. And you got to admire a human being that
Yeah,
goes,
for
you know
sure.
what? Screw this, man. And especially on a grand stage like that, to be able to say, hey, look, this is how I feel. And I'm
Right,
just going to let you know.
right next to the owner of the company.
Right. Right. Yes.
like,
Yes.
like,
I
like,
mean, and when we look at it like that, you literally go, how can he have become a heel on social media because he did it that way? You know what I mean? I just go, wow, man. So many people go, CM Punk ruined the company. He ruined this. And I just go, wait a minute, man. You're not. Look, everything in my life, and I know, look, people are going to go, oh, old man, shut up. I get it. And I probably should shut up. But if you try to sit outside the situation and look in on it, that's when you go, well, what happened backstage that caused this?
yeah,
It's easy to judge a guy for what he says right then and right there. It's easy to do, man. And we all do it every day. But to sit out there and look in on the situation. Hey, dude, I just did it. To be honest, Mike, I just did it this morning with my wife got hit in our car. And so Geico literally is the insurance of the person that hit us. Just to refrain from saying anything negative about Geico, I will only tell you that in my lifetime, I will never have Geico. But anyway, she gets hit. And so this morning, they've had our car over a month. And so this morning, I explained to our adjuster, who was like in his mid-20s, I just explained to him, dude, this is how life works. You do it your way and let me know how that. He said, well, I had 90 extensions. I said, so I don't care about 89 of them. You know what I
I care
mean?
about mine.
Right. Exactly. Well, that's how life is. You know what I mean? You care about your stuff. So you try to sit outside the box and look in on the problem. And so when you do that with the whole Punk situation, you see, look, he's upset. There's no doubt about it. And you go, something caused him to be that upset. I know what he's told me. I just don't know what anybody else has to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So look, at the end of the day, us as viewers and wrestling fans, we all benefit from this, man.
Oh, for sure, man.
We do. We love it. We eat it up. We can't wait to talk about it, man. It's the best. And so for that, thank you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The entire truth about what exactly happened may never really come out.
Right.
But we're going to know pretty much what happened in a few days. The rumors are that people such as Christopher Daniels and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega have been suspended. People are saying that CM Punk and Ace Steel are liable to be let go any day, any moment now. Honestly, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. But I can tell you this: if CM Punk is gone, AEW just lost their $1 million draw.
But yeah, I mean, and you're right. And look, you know, at the end of the day, look, it's wrestling. You know what I'm saying? It's wrestling, and it's a business.
Yeah.
If you see a great wrestling match, and in the middle of the great wrestling match, you're caught up in it, and you're, oh, come on. Oh, and all of a sudden those two participants get into a real fight. As a wrestling fan, you see the difference.
Yeah.
You see the difference in a wrestling match and a real fight. A real fight in a wrestling match will not draw money. It just won't.
Yeah.
People will go, oh, well, you're wrong. Okay, well, let's wait it out and let's look at numbers and dollar figures. a real fight never draws money. And so I look forward to the storylines that they bring forward.
Yeah.
I look forward to the announcements they have, because then you go, well, is that storyline or is that real? You know what I'm saying? And you hope that you get a little bit of the truth out of it. Look, at the end of the day, perception is reality. And I know we've talked about that on this podcast a number of times. So if you perceive CM Punk as the heel, he's the heel. If you perceive him as the savior, he's the savior.
Yeah.
Were you mad when he dropped the pipe bomb at WWE? Are you mad when he drops the pipe bomb at AEW? I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's sports entertainment, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And people are going to hate that term, but it is that's what it is. One of the things at that press media scrum that got me was Tony Khan came out and he was complaining because he said last year I was the only wrestling organizer who put on a show on Labor Day weekend, and this year there was 2 before mine, and I'm just not going to put up with that and a bunch of explicitives that we're not going to say because that's the most appropriate thing for the owner of the company to do. But I sat there and I thought about it for a second, and this is the first thing that came to my mind. I said, so that concerns you. The fact that there was other shows the weekend, not the fact that WWE drew 60,000 people to their pay-per-view and you drew 10,000. That doesn't concern you, but the fact that they ran the same weekend as you. When WWE has people running the same weekend in the same town as them, just about every time they put on a show in the States.
Yep. Look at WrestleMania weekend. You could literally count. It'd take all your fingers and toes to count the number of shows around a WrestleMania. I mean, at WrestleCon alone, you know what I mean? That's just autograph.
You think about SummerSlam. What was the bigger? SummerSlam was there, but Ric Flair's last match was there too.
Yep.
WWE still did 40,000 people.
So, Mike, I'll let you in on a little insider trading. Labor Day in the United States. Labor Day is a holiday that celebrates the American worker. Key phrase, the American worker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do? You grill hot dogs and hamburgers with family and friends and have a beverage, and that's what it's about.
Yep.
Is Labor Day.
The cold.
So if you run a show on Labor Day in the United States of America, chances are you're not going to have an unbelievable crowd.
Yeah.
That's chances are you're not. But if you go to Cardiff, Wales, 62,000 plus, come on, man.
Dude.
It's not Labor Day there. You know what I'm saying? So do you think that the multi-billion-dollar industry of WWE is not thinking about that a year, 2 years ago? How far in advance do you think the company that is traded on the stock exchange, that you and I can go on right now and buy stock in it, and every listener in our voices can go on and buy stock in WWE at this very second? I mean, come on, man. Yeah. There are brilliant minds thinking of, okay, let's see. It's Labor Day weekend. People are going to do family, friends, and hot dogs on the grill. Should we run a wrestling show? No, not in America. Let's go to and let's draw just an ungodly crowd in a huge stadium in another country and literally set the wrestling world on fire all over again. And that's what WWE did. And look, you get on an airplane and you fly all those hours and you go, my God, man. And then you walk into that stadium and you see that crowd and you go, I'll fly around the world 6 times to be able to perform in front of this.
Yeah.
And so So if anybody's getting mad about anything, they should get mad at themselves and go, you know what? Maybe next year I'll book a show in Japan.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I'll book a show in Mexico. I'll book a show anywhere other than the United States on Labor Day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, and I'm not knocking the guy. Look, I know he's just getting his feet wet and all this. You know, what is it, 2 to 3 years? I don't know how long AEW has been in existence, but literally just getting his feet wet compared to WWE, who's, you know,
50, 60 years.
Right. So
WWE.
you learn. And look, if you're, I think right now their stock, well, you know what, in a minute, I don't have it with me, but their stock is probably trading at $60-something a share.
Yeah.
And I kick myself all the time because when I was refereeing there, I had a chance to get in at $13 a share. And I didn't do it. And me and my wife talk about that all the time.
Oh, man.
What were we thinking, man? But anyway, hey, look, that's life. Live and learn. You know what I mean? You live and learn. Simple as that.
So
live, learn, drink coffee.
Drink good coffee. Yes. Good coffee is Bones Coffee.
Amen.
Use code Armstrong at checkout. Get 15% off of the top coffee in the business. Amen. Also, don't forget to use code Armstrong for collar and elbow T-shirts.
Oh, the segues just keep getting better, brother.
Hey, man, I'm going to slide into all of them. Listen, before we roll into the world-famous hashtag Ask Scott segment, I want to ask you a couple things about the Clash at the Castle, because it was such a good show. I mean, there was talks that the Gunther match with Sheamus could be match of the year.
Look, I watched that. I watched the whole pay-per-view as it was happening. It's a big thing at my house. Any pay-per-view that I'm not a part of,
you're going to watch.
Home, we always do pizza and wings. And so now that I'm unemployed, we don't do the wings. They're too expensive. So we had pizza delivered and we sat here and all what, you know, it was fun. It was a party. And so I've never when Sheamus first got hired, and I know I've talked about this, I think, on a previous episode. When Sheamus first got hired and came here, WWE gave him, they do it with every talent. Anybody they just hired, they understand that you're brand new to the company, and chances are you're not rich if they're just hiring you. So WWE takes care of you and takes care of your hotel and rent a car for a couple of months so that you can get on your feet and get it figured out, how the traveling is and travel partners. And you know what I mean? Look, it's not easy. And so Sheamus was getting the free hotel and free rent a car. And I'll never forget, he texted Regal, and at the time, Regal and I were traveling together all the time. And he texted Regal and said, "Hey, can I travel with you and Scott? And we were getting our own rent-a-car, right? And me and Regal we were splitting it. And he said, I'll pay, we can pay thirds. And Regal said, well, no, dude, you get a free car. Don't, just keep your car and do it. And he went, no, I'll learn much more about this business if I can ride in the car with y'all, and I don't mind paying my third. And me and Regal called me and said, hey, I want you to hear this about this guy. And the respect level that I had for Sheamus once hearing that was like, wow, this guy really wants it. He really wants to learn about the business. He really wants to go high up in his career. And so,
boy, did he.
Of course, yeah. And of course, we both said, yeah, come ride with us and you don't pay anything. And me and Regal paid, we paid for the cars and he rode with us, and he kept his hotel. We told him, hey, keep your hotel. We can drop you off at you, because we weren't, the company put you up in a seriously big 5-star hotel. And so that's what he had for like 2 months. And so we would drop him off at his hotel. Then we'd go stay at our Motel 6. and so he, But he would ride with us, and he would sit in the back seat and lean forward and just ask 1,000 questions. And what people don't realize in the wrestling industry is there are no dumb questions. Anybody that's new to the company, we would tell them that, hey, there are no dumb questions. There's nothing worse than being in the ring and doing something really stupid that the fans just totally crap on. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so if you can learn not to do that before you go out there and do it, then it's just, you're going in the right direction. And so Sheamus did that. He rode with us. Man, I mean, even after all that, years later, he and I'll never forget, he and I and Regal and Daniel Bryan, the four of us, they said, okay, we got a flight from so-and-so to so-and-so, and it's 400 miles. 400 miles. And they said, but we got a flight, and it's going to leave at this time, and it's going to get in at this time, and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, I was old school. Daniel Bryan was old school. Regal was old school. Sheamus was getting there. And Regal came to me and said, hey, would you want to drive this? And I went, oh, man, 400 miles. And he goes, if me and you and Sheamus, and he said, and I think Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, whatever you want to call him, he said, if the four of us jump in a car, then if everybody drives 100 miles, we're there. And I went, heck yes, I'm in. Well, because it meant you didn't have to deal with airports. You'd have to get there, 2 hours early. You didn't have to. We just start driving, and the four of us, we'll tell stories and laugh and have a great time. And you know what? Look, as you know, Mike, I'm from the South, and Sheamus is from Ireland, and Regal's from England, and Daniel Bryan, United States guy or U.S. guy. And so it was just four dudes jumping in a car, and we laughed and told stories. And about every 100 miles, me and Daniel Bryan sat in the back seat, and about every 100 miles, I'd go, hey, Sheamus started. He said, I'll start out driving. And I said, Sheamus, you want me to take over? And no, I got it. And then, 100 miles later, Daniel Bryan, hey, Sheamus, you want me to take over? No, mate, I got it. 100 miles later, Regal, yeah. Sheamus drove the entire 400 miles. He drove the entire trip. And you go, wow, man, he had to be brutally tired. Well, there was no doubt. We all were. But we had laughed and told stories and solved all of life's problems in that 400-mile trip. And that's who Sheamus is. So when I saw Gunther beat his brains out, and I literally, me and my son, like I said, we're watching. I told my son, I said, I've never, since I have known Sheamus, and by the way, I was at Sheamus's tryout when he tried out in the UK. I was there. And since I've known the man, I have never seen him sell so much or that good / believable. Because, look, you saw his chest, right, Mike?
I mean, dude, welted up, bloody.
Hamburger meat. Yeah, hamburger meat. I mean, just unbelievable, the beating that his body took. And I told my son, I've never seen him sell like this. I've never, look, I've seen the guy in the gym with 100-pound dumbbells pressing him over his head, multiple reps, and you just go, nothing can hurt this guy. And when you watch that match, you go, wow, man, he got beat up. His selling made you believe that. And you just think, wow, man, nobody's ever done that. And look, Gunther was like, he was talked about like when I was in NXT, and Gunther was in NXT UK. He was the talk. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this guy's the real deal, man. He's double tough. He's not scared. He'll do whatever it takes, and blah blah blah. And you think, okay, well, show me. You know what I'm saying? You're showing me at the NXT level. Show me on main roster level. And so to see that match. Oh, man, I had a newfound respect for both men. And I've known Sheamus I think he's been in the business 14 years or something like that. And I've known him, I mean, pretty much the whole time. And I have a newfound respect for him, and definitely Gunther too. You just see that and go, wow, you care. You know what I mean? You care
Yeah.
about the business. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Could it be match of the year? Yeah, it could. I don't know if in the top 10 for me, for sure.
Yeah.
Because they fought and wrestled.
Yeah.
And look, if that's what you're looking for, man, if that's what you're looking for, it's definitely in running for top match of the year.
Yeah. I love the story of it, the aspect they brought back Giovanni Vinci
Yes.
and or who used to be Fabian Eichner.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's a strong dude.
Oh, very,
Built
very
like
much.
an ox.
Yeah, very
But
much.
then
So.
but then you had the former Pete Dunne, Butch, and
Yep.
they were all in the ring and they were just brawling while the two big dudes just stared at each other, didn't look away. I mean, it was just perfect. I loved it from start to finish of that match. Phenomenal, in my opinion. One of my favorite matches I've seen this year.
Yeah, story was unbelievable. I mean, hey man, Clash at the Castle, right?
Yeah. And then to end the show with the main roster pay-per-view debut of the Usos' little brother, Solo Sikoa, making this, just making that story continue, and Roman Reigns wins. I mean, I was really happy for him. I think he's going to do great on the main roster. I know you have a very good opinion on this because you know him, and I'm excited to hear it.
So, look, he came into NXT, and look, Eki Umaga, I mean, when I say instrumental in getting me my job with WWE, I can't scream that from the rooftops enough. He is the reason I got the job with WWE. Umaga, God rest his soul. And so then to have been a part of the Usos just getting started when they were young and coming into WWE and being part of their matches as a producer, and then but just being a friend because they're from Pensacola and they went to high school here, and Roman Reigns, and they all went to high school here in Pensacola. And so I just, they grew up knowing me and my family. And so it was really, really cool when all these years later, I'm working at NXT and timing the shows and over all the referees and all that stuff. And all of a sudden they say, oh yeah, we got a new guy starting. We're going to call him Solo Sikoa. And oh, okay. And then I see him. And as soon as I see him from across the room, I text, was it Jimmy or Jay? One of those. They're twins,
Yeah.
And so I text one of them and said, hey, do you have a family member that's Solo Sikoa? And they said, yeah, it's our little brother. Well, I'd seen him at the airport in Pensacola, but he was a little, you know what I mean? He was 10, you know what I mean? He was a young dude. And now here he is, a grown-ass man, and the kind of guy that you go, I would not mess with that dude at the gas station. You know what I'm saying? Just a man's man. And literally spent multiple days saying, hey, come here, man, and just talking to him about his family, about Eki and his older brothers, and just sharing stuff with him that, look, when you're younger, you don't know until an old dude tells you. You know what I mean? Like we had he didn't know that Eki was the reason I got my job in WWE, and we sat there and talked about it for a long time. And so, look, I have been a big fan of his since he started with NXT. I have always said all they need now is him with the bloodline up there at main roster. And so for me and my family sitting here watching, it was such a surprise to see him involved at the end of that match, but not just a surprise in my house, but more of a pop, because we all went, oh yeah, because it's family. You know what I'm saying? I know it's hard for everybody to understand, but the Armstrong family in the wrestling industry, I feel like thank you to my father. He put his stamp on the wrestling industry for a number of generations because he had all of us and we all wrestled. Well, so did Afa and Sika,
Yeah.
the Samoans. You know what I mean? They did the same thing, man. And the Hart family and the Von Erichs and look, the Jeff Jarrett and his dad. You can name all these wrestling families, but to me personally, if you said, Scott, what's the biggest family that's done the greatest amount of good for the wrestling industry over the decades? It's the Samoan dynasty. To me, I mean, it's not even a question. Hands down, it's the Samoan dynasty. Their family, they they can do no wrong in my eyes, and I feel like my brothers would feel the same way now. To watch any of them, I forget who it was that said, "Man, they ain't made a Samoan yet that can't work," and that's the truth. They're every one of them. And look, there's Jacob Fatu, who's out there too, the Samoan Werewolf. Oh my God! I mean, unbelievable how good he is. Sam, that was my tag team partner when I was just 22 years old. I mean, 23 years old. That's Jacob Fatu's father. And you just think of that many years ago, and look, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
You know, you've literally paid to see a Samoan in the ring. How many decades now? You know what I mean? To me, the Samoan dynasty they're the rulers of the wrestling business. If you say, okay, what family has ruled the longest? It's the Samoan dynasty. Yeah. For me.
Yeah, I am a big fan of the Samoans in wrestling. I basically the first one I ever seen was Umaga, and then Jacob Fatu and all of them now, and then I go back and watch wrestling, and I agree with you. You know,
unreal,
phenomenal. The amount of talent that runs through that family from all of them, it's just crazy. Every one of them can do things that I've never seen men that size do.
Right.
Like move and jump and fly, and it's unfathomable. As a big man, I love to see it.
Yeah, they ain't scared.
No, they are not. They are not scared of anything. But we are running short on time. I want to get into one question for the hashtag Ask Scott. So let's get into it, man. Coming from, let's see, we got a bunch of them, man. Let's see. Let's go with this one from my buddy Rob. We're gonna roll in with. I heard a story about you getting carjacked. Is that true?
Yeah. Hey. Yeah, Big Rob. So yes, that's very true. I have never told this story on a. Big Rob must know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, because I've never told this story on a grand stage before. So this will be the first time. If we've ever had anything quoted on a dirt sheet, it would be this. If this isn't quoted, then dirt sheets aren't listening to us. Yeah, so look, one night, this was about, 2017. So almost about 5 years ago, we did a Monday Night Raw in Atlanta. Well, I'll tell you, it was when WWE was shooting Monday Night Raw, and then on Tuesday we would shoot SmackDown, and it would air on Friday nights. So however long ago that was, and look, it may have been 7 years ago. I don't know, but anyway, we had done Monday Night Raw. I was a producer. I was riding by myself, and so when the show was over in Atlanta, we were in Atlanta, and when the show was over, the next night we were in Birmingham, Alabama. Well, about, I don't know, 15 or 20 miles just outside of Birmingham on the Atlanta side of I-20, Interstate 20, there's a little town called Leeds, Alabama. And so I thought, you know what? I'll just stay in Leeds and tomorrow get up and drive into Birmingham, and that way I'm not in the middle of the city and in the middle of any gaga. And so I make the drive, hit a drive through, I'm riding by myself, listening to my music, and I pull into a Marriott Courtyard in Leeds, Alabama. And so if any of our listeners are from Leeds, you immediately know where I'm talking about, because I think there's only one Marriott Courtyard. And so I pull up to the front door. It's about, now look, you gain an hour. So I leave when the show's over, and then I make the drive. It's, I don't know, 2.5, almost 3 hours. But you gain an hour because it's time change into Alabama to Central Time. And so as I come in and gain the hour, I get in there, and it's about midnight, or maybe a few minutes after midnight. Well, for those of you who are Marriott people, you know that at midnight, a lot of Marriotts, they lock their automatic doors at the front door. They lock them. And so I pull in, and I'm in my suit that I have worn all day. I've taken the suit jacket off to drive. I've got drive-through food bags in there, and I pull up to the front door of this courtyard, and I reach over and I put it in park. I'm in a brand new Ford Taurus from National Rent-A-Car that had 300 miles on it. It was nice. It was really nice. And so I reach over and I get my suit jacket and I put it over my arm, and I reach over and I get the bag of, I don't know, Hardee's, whatever drive-through food I had. And I get it, and I take my key fob that didn't have any keys on it. It only had the fob on it, but it's on a little circle gimmick car ring, and I put it on my pinky. And so as I open the door and step out of the car with my hands full and key on my pinky, this dude about, I don't know, 6'4", he's got his jacket wrapped around his face, where all I can see is his eyes and his hair, his forehead, eyes, forehead, and hair. And as I step out of the car, you hear his Glock go, and he puts it like 1 foot from my chest. And he says, "Give me your key." He said, back away right now." Well, so immediately I put my hands up, now keep in mind, still got the garbage in one hand, my suit jacket in the other, my key fob on my pinky, and I just start backing up. And so I back up, and he's walking with me with the gun, a foot from my chest, and he's cussing me profusely like I've done something to his grandmother. You know what I mean? He's all on me. And so I'm probably about 15 times I said these words. "Hey, dude, just don't pull that trigger. Hey, dude, just don't pull. You can have everything. Just don't pull that trigger." And he goes, "Give me your keys. Give them to me right now." And so I said, "They're on my pinky." And as I put my hand out, the key fob slid off of my pinky and hit the ground. And when that happened, that's when I thought he was going to shoot me. I really did, because he started going nuts and cussing me so bad. I just kept backing up with my arms in the air like, "Hey, I give up. I surrender." And I kept saying, "Just please don't pull that trigger, dude." Now I'm against the glass door of the Courtyard Marriott. And I start to glance over my shoulder. Nobody is at the front desk. Nobody. And so he reaches down with the gun on me, and he picks up the key fob, and he says, "Give me your phone." And I said, "There are 2 phones, and they're in the console of that car. There are 2 phones sitting there." Well, I'm telling you now, one was my personal phone. The other one was the WWE phone. And so he said, and so he keeps the gun on me, and he said, "Do not move or I will kill you." And so I'm up against the glass of the front door. My hands are still in the air, and he sits down in the car, and he looks down and he says, "How do you start this car? There's no keys on here." Well, now all these years later, that's comical. You want to go, "What the hell? You didn't know? He didn't know how to start a car?" But at the time, I literally explained to him how to steal my car.
You had to walk him through it.
I did. I said, put your foot on the brake, press the start button that is near the steering wheel. And he did. And he kept the gun on me, and he rolled the window down, and he shut the door back and held the gun out the door. And he said, do not move or I will pull this trigger. I said, dude, do not pull that trigger. And all of a sudden he took off. And so in the back of that car was everything that I traveled with. I mean, look, when I started wrestling, everybody told me, buy Toomey luggage, Toomey, T-U-M-I, Toomey luggage. And so I looked into Toomey luggage when I first started wrestling, and Toomey luggage was like $1,000 a bag. And I said out loud, hey, I can't afford this. That's ridiculous. And I'll never forget MVP. You know MVP, right?
Yep.
He said, Scott, you'll go through 10 Walmart bags, and even if you do tear up one Toomey bag, they fix it for free. He said, I'm telling you, invest in a Toomey, and because it's strong, it's durable. Well, hey, I know it sounds like I'm doing the commercial. Dude, I am doing the commercial. Their luggage is the best. So anyway, after going through about 5 Walmart bags at about $80 a pop, I ended up buying the Toomey. But anyway, so I had 2 of them in the trunk of my car. So the luggage in the trunk, I also had my personal iPad, my company iPad, the company laptop. I had all my years of sitting in production meetings with Vince McMahon and writing down all his pearls of wisdom that he would say, and I would just jot them down because it helped me learn about our business. And I mean, everything, all my clothes, and I had another 2 suits in there, and suits aren't cheap. And it ended up being about $3,500 worth of stuff in my bags and my clothes. And so, but I'm against the door, and my hands are in the air, and all of a sudden he takes off. So I spin around and I beat on the glass. And I mean, dude, I beat on it to wake up everybody in that hotel. And all of a sudden a woman comes running from the back, and she opens the door and said, what is it? Well, I said, I was just robbed at gunpoint and carjacked right here at your front door. And she said, which way did he go? And I said, he went that way. And she said, there's no exit. He's going to come back by. And so she said, get down, get down. So immediately she and I both started ducking down and trying to get out of the way of that door. And all of a sudden that car flew back by. So she said, what just happened? So I told her, I said, dial 911, dial 911. So she does, and the cops come, and now it's, 1:30 in the morning, and I'm standing out there with the cops, and I'm telling them everything that went on. And all of a sudden, the lady that was behind, look, my mind was going, I had to call my house and wake everybody in my house up. And I said, in my room, there's a little notebook, and it's got all the numbers that are important to me. And I said, give me Triple H's number. And so my son says, here it is. So I called Triple H, and I said, hey, and he said, okay, we got to get with Jim, because look, they had all my stuff I'd written about our production meetings, and they had the company iPhone and computer. And look, I realize they're a carjacker. They're probably just going to throw that crap away, but it's company insider stuff that nobody needs to know. You know what I mean? And so, Hunter said, look, I'm going to give you Jim Kelly's number. So I'm writing numbers down. I'm having to call them from the hotel. I don't have a phone. And so, but the lady behind the desk goes, hey, do you have Find My iPhone app on your phone? And I went, yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. And she said, well, here's my phone. I have an iPhone also. So here's my phone. Put in all your information, and we'll see where your phones are going. And I went, oh my God, that's fantastic. Well, I never put those on my phone. My son did. And he did it, I guess, thinking that, well, my dad might get carjacked one day. I don't know why he did it. But dude, all of a sudden I hand it to the cop, and the cop he gets on his radio and goes, they're traveling southbound on I-65 right now, And then he goes, oh, check that. They just threw the phone out the window. And, I think the Find My thing, I think it beeps if somebody's trying to follow it. I think it beeps or vibrates or something. And when that happened, the carjacker literally threw both of my phones out the window, and my iPad and computer were turned off. If I'd left those on, we could have followed them right to their house. But those were off. And so they threw my phones out the window. So the next morning, so literally all I had was the suit that I had worn all day in Atlanta to produce Monday Night Raw. That's all I had. That's all I had with me. That's it. And the guy never said, give me your wallet. He never said that. So, and I carry a money clip, and it was still in my pocket. So I did have my credit cards, my driver's license, and my money and my, cash. And so the next morning, so the people at the hotel, they got me checked in, and, you stay up all night. Your heart's going 100 miles an hour. And I finally get to sleep. And the next morning, about 8:00, my son calls the hotel and he says, hey, Dad, both your iPhones are still on, and they're pinging on the side of the road off of I-65 near Birmingham. And so I go downstairs. He said, you need to find somebody with a car and somebody with an iPhone. So I go downstairs and I talk to the manager of the hotel. And he says, well, first, before we do any of that, let's look at the footage that we have. And I went, oh, great, man, that's awesome. We're going to find this guy. The only cameras that place had were inside the hotel. So you could not, outside the hotel, you couldn't see any of the carjacking, none of it. But on the inside, you see me running in, and then you see me saying something to the lady, and then you see me ducking down with my arms over my head, trying to get out of the way. And then you see me stand back up, and you see me start telling the lady, dial 911. So anyway, the manager, after we watched that, the manager goes, okay, so now let's see he said, let's go in my car. So we drive down I-65, and sure enough, any of the listeners, if you have the opportunity to download the Find My iPhone app, put it on your phone. You never know. We literally pulled over, and in about grass that was about, 1.5 feet tall, we walked right up on my phone. It just started going, vibrate until it just kept vibrating. And I looked, and there was my phone. And the other phone was about 6 feet away in the tall grass. So at the end of the story, I ended up getting both of those phones back. Everything else, I just lost. I mean, all that, my luggage and all that kind of stuff. And, the company, everything, I lost it all. So the next day I show back up on Tuesday, and we're shooting SmackDown, and I show up and I'm in the exact same suit. And, by then word had spread, because my brother and everybody had talked about it. And my brother came to me and said, hey, man, at that time, he was the head writer, I think, for SmackDown. He goes, hey, dude, look, I'm just going to bring you up to the front of the room and let you tell the story to everybody. And that way you don't have to tell the story all day. And I went, good looking out, man. Thank you very much. And so I start telling the story. And, dude, I can't tell you how many people just laughed at me and said, wait, so you taught the carjacker how to steal your car? I said, that's what you guys get from this story? Is that part? Oh, my God, man. It's so to answer Big Rob's question, yes, I did get carjacked and at gunpoint. And they found the car. Like, the detective called me like 3 weeks later and said, hey, we found your car. And I said, well, fantastic. Did you find any of my stuff? And he said, oh, no, we never expected to find any of that. And he said, we found it actually in a church parking lot, and it's in really good shape. He said they must have repented for their sins and decided to leave it in the church parking lot. I said, well, fair enough. He goes, yeah, I'm sorry, man. I said, yeah, me too. And so, hey, man, here's the kicker. I didn't get shot, and I lived to tell the tale. You know what I mean? So did it happen? Yes. And now I've actually told the story on a grand scale, and happy that I can tell it. and not just be another statistic. You know what I mean?
That is crazy.
Isn't it? It was crazy. I mean, hey, think of calling your wife and saying, hey, this just happened. You know what I'm saying? People go, look, you go to Winn-Dixie, or you go to Walmart, or you run to the Quickie Mart, and you don't even think about that. And that's where I was at in my head that night. I just got the garbage, got my suit jacket, and stepped out and give me your key. You know what I mean? With a whole bunch of cuss words involved.
We won't use those here, but use your imagination.
Yes.
That is an insane story, man. I can't believe that happened. I'm trying to piece together the timeline on that. I'll probably figure out when that was here shortly. But hey, man, another good episode 14 in the books. We have run a little over on what we like to do. Sorry, guys, you'll get over it. That was a great story.
I hope the story was worth it for sure.
Hey, that was a great story. Thank you to Bones Coffee. Thank you, Collar and Elbow. And always thank you to the IWN for putting this together and allowing us to come out here and let Scott tell us stories and let me just kind of talk crap. So, hey, good episode. Appreciate it, brother.
Amen. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Yep. We're out.